This is a libertarian suggestion for trade unions. A way of making trade unions basically pro-libertarian, to take more of a libertarian approach to labor relations. Currently, labor unions take a big government approach to labor relations. They turn to government to force companies to come to the bargaining table. There are states where it's called closed shop, where you have to belong to a union to be able to work in a certain profession. There are factories where you have to join the union to be able to work at that factory. All this is using coercion. All of this is forcing some people, to do what they don't want to do. And I think that is hurting unions and hurting unions' ability to grow and to go after professions that right now won't even consider unionizing. Right now, unions have, for a long time, tried to unionize IT workers, and it has always failed. And the reason why it's failed is because the IT workers know they're valuable. They don't need a union to represent them. They know that, by and large, they are to work 2 to 3 years at a job and then apply for another job, for another promotion, another raise. They're not, by and large, loyal to the companies they work for. They're very much like hired guns, very much like marketers. They know they're valuable. They know their skill sets can be sold to a number of companies. They don't need a union to represent them. And also, it's one of the reasons why unions have had a very hard time unionizing businesses, professions that have very high earners and very low earners. For example, strippers, striptease artists, burlesque dancers. Some burlesque dancers make a lot of money. They're called stunner hustlers. They know how to hustle, and they're stunners. They rake a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. To them, a union is actually a pay cut. If everyone is paid the same, you punish the high earners. The low earners, the barely making it by house dancers, would view a union as a positive because it would increase their money. But the high earners know that it would be at their expense for doing that. Unions are for the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is pro-big government. The Democratic Party almost pretty much has not seen a government program it didn't like. I mean, so unions turn to the Democratic Party to use the government to force corporations and employers to have to deal with them. And I think that's a very wrong approach to it. I mean, the percentage of the public who belong to a union is steadily decreasing, and this is part of the reason why. Now, my suggestion for unions is mainly for trade unions. A union made up of people of a certain profession. For example, welders or truckers. The idea is to turn from trying to use government to force corporations to the bargaining table to instead be more like almost like an employment service for their members. Where the union comes in, where it is of value to them, is in relocating to a new job. There are new jobs all over the country, constantly coming in and going out of availability. If a union were to monitor all the job markets, every help wanted section, every help wanted section of a newspaper, every help wanted website, looking for jobs posted for the people that they represent, the trade, the profession that they represent by their union. And then if they were to then have all those, their members' information, knowing how much they make, etc. Maybe even personal information about how far they're willing to relocate, where they're willing to relocate, are they willing to go to another country? And then when a job comes available, they then go through their database and find the members who, by how they filled out their forms and the conversations they had with the union, may be interested in that new job. And then they contact those members telling them, hey, there's this new job, it pays at this level, it's located here, here are the work schedule, the work conditions, here's the local community, here's this rating for, raising kids, all these types of factors. And if the union member says, hey, I'd be interested in applying for that job, the union, using union membership dues, pays for them to fly to that interview. And if they get hired for that job, the union pays for their relocation. A lot of people would not take a new job in a new location because of relocation costs and inconvenience, etc. If a union were to even have its own moving vans and moving crews who constantly are moving their employees to better and better jobs, I think this would be very attractive to not just the traditional professions that unions have represented, but to even high value professions, computer programmers, marketers even, is a way that they could unionize them, but without requiring government to come into the equation. Now, let's say that union member takes that job. Well, the job they leave is now open. They can then turn to their membership and do the same process for that job for all their other members, for those members who are not making that much money, and saying, hey, here's a job opportunity for you. Now, the union could go on in and help renegotiate a contract for an employee. They coming on in, they've already flown the employee, they've already had a job offer in hand, and then they go in there with their union representative to their employer and merely say, no threatening language, no, we're going to bring government down on you, but simply, this person, this employee of yours, has received a better job offer over there. We, as the union, will be paying for their relocation fees. We've already paid for their airline ticket to do the interview. Would you like to offer them more to possibly have them stay here? Now, some employers are going to go, no, we don't care. And that's fine. The employee takes on off, and then the union turns around to its membership and say, hey, here's an opening. Who wants it now? This type of action by a union raises everyone's boat in a way, but not by everyone in a boat, but each boat kind of individually. And the group effect, the mass effect, is that they will raise the income of all their members in this way. It could be a very effective way, I think, for unions to kind of reverse their fortunes. Like again, I've said, they have been in decline. The percentage of the population that joined to a union is ever shrinking. And as states bring about right to work legislation, where a state that was once a closed shop, forcing people to have to join a union to be able to work in that profession, and they've gone to right to work and open shop, their numbers have just steadily decreased. I mean, my home state of Wisconsin, when Walker came on in and broke the union rules and no longer required government workers to be part of a union, their membership in the unions just plummeted. I know the unions are panicking over this, but this is a change that's coming. And they better, instead of trying to beat back the tide, I think they should shift. They should innovate. And here's a way that they can innovate. Instead of using government to force their demands down an employer's throat, instead being an advocate for the employee in the aspect that you let them know of all the other job opportunities out there that are better, maybe not just better pay, but it might be a better shift, a better working environment, a better city. Maybe someone who has a job as a commercial trucker up in northeast Maine. They, or maybe their new wife, hates the snow, and so they're looking to move down south. That union could be alert to that, and then they could be helped to move to where they want to live. It requires a shift in unions. It requires them giving up the idea that government is a weapon that they can use against employers. Instead, you're using the marketplace essentially against the employers. A voluntary system. Maybe some employers are going to value that employee and say, oh, we'll match that. Or they'll increase their offer enough to where the employee will say, no, I'll stay here now. But every time they shift someone to another job, one, it makes that person better in some way or form, more income, better time, better schedule, but also opens up another job. This is something I think unions really should consider because their current strategy is failing. So maybe now's the time to go and look for another way. Possibly this is another way. If you belong to a union and you're watching this video and you agree with this, send a link to this video to your union representative and ask them to look into this, to consider this as a possibility. If you're just a normal viewer, please subscribe to this channel. I produce videos every day, sometimes more than one, sometimes at different time schedules, because I sometimes make videos that respond to breaking news. So when you subscribe to this channel, to the left of the subscribe button is a bell icon. Click on it and pick one of the two notifications. One is a text message to your cell phone, and the other one is email. Also, I have a mailing list. And when that mailing list gets to 100 subscribers, I'll start producing a weekly unlisted video where I reply to comments posted to last week's batch of public videos. If you'd like to see these future reply to comment videos, in the description below is a link to the mail list sign up form. Please subscribe. All right? See you tomorrow. Bye.